Good morning and welcome to this week's Thursday training. My name is Karrie Brazaski with Helping Healthcare Heroes, and I am so glad that you are taking the time to learn today our topic, our thoughts, and how they become our reality and how we can stop the doom and gloom of what is yet to come. So many times we worry about what's yet to come. And today we're going to talk about how we can stop that, take a step back and really be present in the current moment. So it helps reduce our anxiety, helps us reduce our stress, and actually stop that whole catastrophizing that many of us do. If you're like me, you probably do it too. And maybe not all the time, but how do you kind of break the habit and really start looking at how you can enjoy today and this moment? So for those of you who are new, my name is Karrie Brazaski. I am the founder of Helping Healthcare Heroes, where we are creating a sanctuary dedicated to the mental well-being and personal resilience of first responders and health professionals. So I am so happy that you're here because health professionals, first responders, you do amazing things for our community. You see, as I kind of say, the underbelly of society. You see things that people don't even want to think about. And so I want to make sure that you have the personal and professional resilience so that you can continue doing the amazing work that you do. I am a nurse of 29 years. That seems like a long time, but I don't really feel that old. So we'll just go with that. But I was a hospital administrator for 15 years until I thoroughly burnt out, knowing that there were no resources and there was just not a lot to do to be able to help get me out of it. And I was in kind of that suck it up buttercup. And I couldn't suck it up anymore. And so I ended up leaving a profession and a job that I really did like. I loved my profession. And so I'm now on a mission to make sure that you have the tools that you need so that you don't get into that situation where you have to leave a profession, your livelihood that you've worked so hard to get to, or that you just simply love, because the stress, the anxiety, the burnout, all of that is too much. So today I want to talk about how your thoughts become your reality. We hear it all the time, think it, if you can believe it or you can dream it, it can come true. But I want to take it down to the way in which you go about your day. So think about when you get up in the morning, do you start to stress about all the things that you have to do? Do you kind of go through the to-do list? I need to do this, 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 and this. And then you're like, oh, there's just no way I'm ever going to get it done. And then at the end of the day, sure enough, you didn't get it all done. What if you were able to start your day not going down the to-do list and not worrying about what needs to happen and actually being present so that you can kind of go through the day one step and one activity at a time? I can remember as a hospital executive talking to this one particular example comes to mind. It was a surgical floor. They were pretty much full. Everybody was at their kind of limit as to what they could care for safely. But there were 5 or 6 surgeries going on in the OR. So they were getting 6 patients that day. But they had 9 people who were going to be discharged. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a lot of work. I am. That is a lot of work, a lot of discharge admissions that can be very chaotic. But what I remember so vividly was it's 7:30 in the morning and there were a couple people spinning, as I call it, just distraught over what was going to come. How are they going to get it done? Not realizing that the first 2 surgeries were 4.5-hour surgeries. So it was going to be a good 6 hours before the first patient ever hit their unit. And likely that the second or the latter half of the day wasn't even going to come on their shift. It was going to come on to the night shift. So the reason I bring up that situation is we do that so many times in healthcare. We have to be alert. We have to think what's happening next. You love those people that you work with when, they're thinking 2 steps ahead. Thinking 2 steps ahead is very different than doom and gloom of the 2 steps ahead. So what I want to share with you is how you can just, you know what, take a minute when it starts to feel like it's bubbling up and there's too much to do. It's just like when we tell our kids, you can only do one thing at a time. You know what? You have to do this, and then I'll go to the next, and then I'll go to the next. And you prioritize what needs to be done. You know, if a patient's not breathing, they need medication, and somebody needs to go to the toilet, you know, the person who's not breathing wins. I mean, they're not winning, but you get what I'm talking about. They get your attention first. You can't be resuscitating somebody and getting somebody else to the toilet at the same time. And I know those are real things that go on in your day, and that's hard. And it's hard on your mental being. But what I want, I'm using that illustration for you to be able to step back and realize you do one thing at a time. And if you start doing one thing at a time and you start thinking about one thing at a time, you can stop the doom and gloom and the catastrophizing of what is yet to come. Because what if that surgery got canceled? On this specific day, one of those surgeries late in the day actually did get canceled. So instead of getting 6 patients, they got 5. Only 3 patients showed up on the day shift, but all 9 patients got discharged on the day shift. It was a very different story at the end of the day than what a couple of the nurses really thought was going to happen at the beginning of the day. And so if you can start planning a little bit. Now, I know in healthcare, it's whatever comes, but there's a little bit of it that you can plan. You can try to plan and structure your day. You can, these are the tasks that I'm going to do kind of here. Then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. It's like you don't walk into a patient's room and I'm going to go get a temperature, and then I'm going to go do something else, and then I'm going to come in and get vital signs, and then I'm going to come in and, assess them. You cluster your care. Well, if you can cluster your care that you do with an individual patient, you can kind of cluster your thoughts. So you cluster the thoughts of, this is what I'm going to do here. And then this is the next little cluster that I'm going to go to. And then here, instead of going down the rabbit trail and getting all worked up into what may not ever happen, the other is that, the Henry Ford, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. And so it's really those thoughts that we tell ourselves. And there's been a lot of research on success. If you believe that you can succeed, you're going to succeed. When we have athletes, they don't visualize a loss. They visualize the win. They visualize, how am I going to get there? I listened to Bo Easton. He's a fabulous speaker, but he talks about how when he got the ball, when I can't remember the actual football player that he talks about, but I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. But he talks about this guy who is Hall of Famer, just does all kinds of amazing things. When he got the ball, no matter what, he always ran to the end zone. Like, ball in hand means touchdown, and every single time. And he talks about how you would visualize that. The ball comes to me. It doesn't matter what's in front of me. He is getting to the end zone for a touchdown. And it's the same way, is that you visualize it. So start visualizing your day where you win. Start visualizing what could actually happen in a very positive light. And then the other thing, and I have a colleague who calls it our shitty committee. I say it's the mean girl in our heads, because typically we all have one in it. From the more that I talk, the more women have this over men. But it's that mean chatter in your head where you're not going to be able to get this done. Oh, I told you this is going to work. Well, they start planting those seeds, and then our brain is like, okay, this is what she wants, or this is what he wants. This is just going to be a chaotic day. Or, one of the things I encourage you to get rid of in our vocabulary is the shitstorm. This is, or the, I'm just an epic fail. Or, those things that you say, even jokingly, our brain doesn't realize it's a joke, and it gets into our subconscious, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, she wants a shitstorm. We're going to give her one. She wants to be, have this horrible day. Then you focus on all of those little things that, see, I messed this up, or that patient yelled at me, or, oh my gosh, this is going on. And we get into this doom and gloom. And I say we have to, kick the committee out in our head. We have to shut that mean girl up. You don't have to listen to that. If the voices that you tell yourself in your head, would you ever say that to a kid? Would you ever let anybody say that to your child? Chances are it's not. So we need to stop that mind chatter, because those are our thoughts that become our reality. So you may be saying, okay, this is great. I can visualize it. I can think about it, but how do I really do it in the moment? And what you do in the moment is you take a step back. And sometimes you have to physically, like, I'm here, I'm feeling myself do it. I'm getting report and I'm like, oh my God, this and that. Literally take a step, physically take a step backwards, as if it is, you're like, whew, I'm taking a step back from this line. I don't want to cross that line. I don't want to go there. And when you take that step back, it's that reminder of, okay, take a breath and really notice where you're at right in that moment. And when you take that breath, maybe you feel that jitter and kind of like bubbling inside yourself. And you just take a big breath and notice and recognize that feeling. And when you feel it, just take a big breath as if you were like feeling into that feeling. And then you're like, oh, I don't have time for this, Karrie. This doesn't take a long time. This is like less than 30 seconds where you're just stepping back, notice how you're feeling. And the reason that you notice how you're feeling is that when you feel it later, you can do it again. You can take that step back physically or visually in your mind, where you take the step, take a breath, kind of feel it in your body, and then calm yourself down. Calm the thinking, calm the committee, evict the committee, tell the mean girl she doesn't need to be there, and stop listening to them. Because when you listen to them, then you're more apt to have that become your reality. And so then maybe you kind of got it for you, but then like your coworker starts swirling and you get really caught into it, and you can do the same thing. Like, whoa, guys. Let's take a breath. Let's step back. We're going to take care of one thing at a time. We're going to prioritize, because you in healthcare, you nurses, respiratory therapists, physicians, all of you are amazing at prioritizing. Problem is, you never prioritize yourself. I won't say never, but you typically don't do that. So what you want to do is, I need to be okay. So now I can go be okay with the patient. I can go be okay and take on the next task. When you go about things in that calmer realm within yourself, and you have that sense of ease, people around you are going to be more at ease. Do you have that one coworker? I remember telling one person, I was like, I love you, but if chaos were Pigpen, that's you. It's like they just swirl the chaos. They're the person that, oh, I'm so glad that I got here today. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I'm late. And they just keep going and going, and they're exhausting to be around. You might have to separate yourself from those people, because you don't want to get caught up in their chaotic whirlwind. Pigpen, you see that little dust cloud. Well, that's kind of what they are. We want to get rid of the pigpens in our lives, and we sure don't want to be the pigpen ourselves. So it's, we want to be, Lucy. We don't even want to really be Charlie Brown, because we don't want to be like goof off and fall down all the time. But it's creating that comfort. Or maybe it's like you think you want to be Linus. Think about Linus, who sits down and he plays the piano. And so when you start to feel yourself go into whatever that visualization that you need to do to remind yourself of, oh, okay, I can see Linus playing the piano. I can feel Linus's blanket. And what's happening there is you're invoking different senses so that you can calm yourself down. So kind of distance yourself from pig pens. We love them. We just don't need to be sucked up into their little vortex and swirl. You don't want to be that yourself. Take a step back and be able to just take a breath and think about, this is the task that I'm going to do right now. This is the thought pattern that I need. I can't worry about what's going to happen, 6 hours from. Here's another analogy. It would be like every time you got in a car, you envisioned a car crash at the end. That's kind of what you're doing to your day. When you visualize or you think that it's just going to be such a horrible day. Think about how stressful your drive would be if every time you got in the car, you were like physically afraid that you were going to get into a car crash. That's what you're doing to yourself in the day when you start worrying and lamenting about what might be. The other is when you start to feel that way, change your thought, change the way in which you think about it. What if that weren't true? What if you actually had all the tasks and tools that you needed to do in a day and it came with ease? You just kind of start asking yourself the questions. I have a colleague, Gabriella, I love her. Her whole thing is about questioning and being inquisitive. And she, I say stuff sometimes when I work with her and she'll be like, but what if that weren't true? What if that were just the opposite? And you're like, well, this is always so hard. Well, what if it wasn't? What if the next shift that you did, what if it just was easy? Not that the work is easy, but the flow was easy. And then what if the work actually was easy? How does that feel? Do you go into your day thinking, oh my gosh, this is awesome? You have those patients sometimes, like maybe you've bonded with them and you're like, oh my gosh, she's still back today. I'm sad that they're still here and then they're not, progressing more to where they can go home. But you're like, oh, I love this patient. I love talking to them. Or, this is the day I get to do XYZ and I love it. Maybe you're the discharge nurse if, that's something that they do in your unit. I love doing the discharge planning. I love being able to, and you go about it with a totally different mindset and the outcome becomes very different. You can do this at home too. I was sharing with a client not too long ago where I did this experiment of starting the day with love. And I know it seems kind of crazy because we all love, but actively starting the day. Like I sat on the edge of the bed and I thought, and I said to myself, and I verbalized it out loud, everything today is coming to me with love and everyone is going to get the benefit of love. So no matter what happens, I'm going to look at it as if they did this out of love. And I can remember a couple things going on throughout the day. And I started to go, oh my gosh, and I was like, wait a minute. I can go from a place of love where I just was like, I'm so sorry that they're having a bad day. And I remember feeling like so much closer to my husband, to my child, because I didn't get frustrated because they interrupted me. Or I was like, oh, they really want to share this with me. And it totally changed the way in which I went about the day. You can kind of do that at work as well. Change the way that you go and you kind of frame the day to where it's going to be a great day. We're going to have what we need. We're going to pull together. I've got a great team. My patients are going to be fabulous today. I'm going to give great care and take each step as it goes instead of, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. And just see how different your day can be. And it'll take you a little bit. It doesn't, you can't just turn this on right away. You have to work at it. But when you change your thoughts, you do change the way in which your day rolls out. So I leave you with that for you to start really being present, taking that step back when it starts to get too much. Take a breath, evict the committee in your head or the mean girl or whatever that is that tell you and all of that negativity and that, so that you really can set yourself up to have a good day. Now, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be, rosy sunshine, but it does mean that you don't have to worry about what hasn't hit yet. It's just like when you go to the ER and they say, don't say the Q word, because they're afraid of what's yet to come. But live in that moment. Live in the moment that right now I have the chance to be able to connect and communicate with my colleagues because there's not a lot of drama going on around me. Very different than, oh, it's pretty quiet in here. What are you guys doing? Find the gratitude and the moments to be grateful. And then at the end of the day, pat yourself on the back. If you were able to do it and you didn't get into that negative swirl and go down the rabbit hole, just stay positive. Look at the things that you can make a difference with. Look at the things that you can impact and change, and realize not all of it you can. But the things that you have control over, you have control over in your mind too. You have control over the thoughts and the way in which you communicate with others, and as much as you communicate with yourself. So I want to encourage you to stop worrying about what is yet to come and start living in the moment. And I will share, I have a mentor who said to me, worrying is like a rocking chair. You expend a lot of energy and you go nowhere. So I don't want you expending any more energy than you have to in your day because you put out a lot of effort and energy. Don't use it with your worry. So this is Karrie Brazaski with Helping Healthcare Heroes with more tips and tools for you to continue to build your personal and professional resilience. If you know of other healthcare professionals, please invite them to come over and join our community here on Facebook, Helping Healthcare Heroes community, so that they can be a part of this and get the tools that they need. So until next week, I hope that you take a breath, be in the present moment, and just take it one step at a time. Have a great week. Bye-bye.